this French gangster is legendary.
Rédoine Faïd escaped from a prison near Paris this morning with the help of multiple armed men who hijacked a helicopter to pick him up.
Rédoine Faid has been nowhere to be found. He is now France's most wanted fugitive.
He committed multiple robberies, escaped from prison twice in conditions worthy of the greatest action films.
The bank robber is a Houdini of jailbreaks.
People are talking about how exciting this is, it's like a film. The reality is he was a criminal, he is now on the run.
On July 1st, 2018, French criminal Rédoine Faïd escaped Réau Prison in a hijacked helicopter in an operation prosecutors later called a family affair. But this wasn't his first escape.
Somehow, he managed to smuggle in enough explosives to blow his way through 5 separate security doors.
So how did France let the same guy beat the system twice? How did he plan a jailbreak from a cell when every call and visit was monitored? And how did he manage to stay hidden for so long?
I tried to grow my hair here, and I put on a little wig. I cut it with scissors so that it would fit exactly. I'm confusing you. And there you go.
To understand the escapes, you have to understand the guy. Because Faïd doesn't just rob banks. He puts on a show. Rédoine Faïd was born in 1972 in Creil, north of Paris, to Algerian immigrant parents. He grew up in the orbit of France's banlieue, places where you can feel locked out of the good life just by looking at it. His early crimes started small, then scaled up quickly.
What I do is good, and you make a career out of it. That's what being a man is. You make a career out of it.
Faïd becomes a professional robber. Not the chaotic kind. More like a guy running a project plan. He's obsessed with precision and control. Timing, roles, rehearsals, safety. For Faïd, he's not just some criminal. He's a mastermind.
But at some point, you want to do them. You're passionate about it. It's your job. You wake up with it, you sleep with it, even when you're on vacation.
After several flawless bank robberies, petty burglaries, and heists targeting RAM chips and CPUs, Rédoine was flush with enough cash that he had to bury jars full of it. His crew called him Doc, an homage to Steve McQueen's character in 1972's The Getaway. He was living the high life. Rolexes, fast cars, parties, first-class tickets. By the time he was in his early 20s, he could retire early. But one powerful movie-going experience reignited his thirst for crime.
Faïd once said he would take his criminal inspiration from movies and actors such as Robert De Niro and Michael Mann's 1995 movie Heat.
Faïd didn't just love Heat. He treated it like homework. He said he watched it 7 times in theaters and 100 times at home to dissect the armored truck scene. And here's the movie-to-reality moment that made police realize this guy wasn't playing around. It's July 3rd, 1997 in Villepinte, just outside Paris. A Renault Safran slams into an armored truck while 2 vans block it in. 6 men in hockey masks rush out, threatening to blow everything up. Then things go off script. Police arrive almost immediately. An anti-crime unit pulls up, shots are fired, and Faïd is hit in the shoulder. Even so, the crew escapes with about 2.7 million francs, which is about $450,000 US. After that, Rédoine slips into full fugitive mode. By 1998, police reports describe him bouncing across European borders under fake names and traveling as far as Israel. Rédoine even claimed to have disguised himself as an Orthodox Jew and studied Hebrew to blend in. On September 27, 1998, he's arrested on a train in Germany for using a false passport. But this is Faïd. Even in handcuffs, he makes a run for it at a station near the Swiss border. He jumps a wall, injures his heel, and still manages to escape. Though not for long. He is caught again in Basel, Switzerland, and taken to a hospital. Somehow, Faïd manages to grab the officer's weapon, escapes from the hospital, takes a motorist hostage, and disappears again. And here is the most real-life part of the story. Faïd is not taken down by a dramatic sting or after a shootout. He gets caught because of paperwork. A flight to Tel Aviv booked under an alias. On December 30th, 1998, police track him down through a travel agency near the Paris Opera. From there, the system finally closes its fist. Faïd is sentenced to 19 years, then gets out on parole in 2009 for good behavior. He tries to change how people see him. He publishes a memoir, does a few interviews, and leans hard into the "I'm reformed" image. And for a minute, it works. The press treats him like a dignitary, smooth, controlled, almost gentlemanly.
I didn't prepare myself to be out, to be normal, to be cool, to go out to a bank. Even this morning, I don't believe it, but phew, it feels so good.
And then 2010 happens, and Faïd goes from a beloved media sensation to public enemy number one.
In the name of the French Republic, we become knights. The murderers of Aurélie Fouquet, I say this in front of her coffin, will be punished with the severity that the ignominy of their crime demands.
In May 2010, less than a year after his 2009 parole, Faïd's back in the headlines. A botched robbery attempt escalates into a chase and gunfire, and police officer Aurélie Fouquet is killed. It becomes a national shock. She's the first female municipal police officer killed on duty in France.
The sort of romantic nature of his Robin of Sherwood existence would have completely been turned on its head with the death of this officer.
After the 2010 case, Faïd disappears for months. Police finally catch him in 2011 after investigators in the Lille area spot him while surveying a crew suspected of planning robberies. Once they see Faïd, they move in and arrest him in Villeneuve-d'Ascq, reportedly inside a snack bar. He moves through pretrial detention, and by 2013, he's transferred to Rédoine Prison. Faïd denied being the shooter, but later proceedings describe him as central to the case. For Faïd, being imprisoned a second time wasn't just punishment. It likely felt humiliating.
My driving force in life is freedom. I live for freedom. The rest, just forget it.
In 2013, he shocks the world again, turning a prison built from concrete and steel into something that practically escorts him to freedom.
A French criminal has made a daring escape from prison in northern France.
It's April 13th, 2013. Rédoine is a prison with layers of doors, controlled movement, and staff who follow the same routines every day. Faïd's first move begins with deception. As guards bring him to the visiting room to see his brother, he is carrying what they think is a bag of dirty laundry. Inside it is a loaded handgun, several lighters, and a military-grade explosive called PETN, which authorities later revealed had been smuggled into the prison. We'll get to what he does with it in a moment. Faïd finds the perfect moment when people are being shuffled around and nobody is fully paying attention. Then, it's showtime. He drops to one knee, opens the bag, pulls the gun, and fires it into the ceiling. He then takes 2 prison staff hostage, then 3, and by the end, 4.
He grabs me from behind, grabs me, and then points the gun at my head and says, "Let's go. We have to get out, and I'm going to get out now."
And here comes the human factor. Faïd talks to them, not like a mustache-twirling cartoon villain, but like a guy negotiating a transaction.
He calmly said to us, "The first one who moves, I'll kill him. I want to get out. I'll get out."
He tells them not to be a cowboy over 1,300 or 1,400 euros, their monthly paychecks, and to think about their families and their kids.
After that, things calm down. So we do what he says, and that's it.
But he still has 5 armored doors between him and freedom, and time's running out. This is where those smuggled explosives we mentioned come into play. To make sense of the security gaps, I spoke with Bryce Peterson, a senior research scientist at the CNA Center for Justice Research and Innovation, who has spent years analyzing prison operations.
You're not talking about a small bag of explosives. He smuggled in a lot. So I assume this was over time, maybe multiple rounds of this. Clearly there's a breakdown in the screening procedures of people bringing in stuff into the facility. Could have been staff oversight, could have been staff corruption, it could have been a number of things.
Rédoine systematically blasts his way through 4 doors as the prison frantically goes into emergency mode. And by the time the 5th door is blown, he's already in the final stretch to freedom. He keeps the hostages close around him, using them as shields so snipers cannot get a clear shot. And in less than half an hour, he's outside the walls. Police can see him, but they still can't stop him safely. A getaway car is waiting, which tells you the outside team had the timing, the route, and the pickup plan locked in before the first door ever blew. As he gets out, Faïd releases the hostages one by one at different points along the escape route.
There is now a Europe-wide manhunt on for one of France's most notorious armed robbers.
The response is immediate. Interpol gets pulled in. Media coverage explodes, and the nickname the Getaway King quickly sticks. For about 6 weeks, Faïd stays free by bouncing from hotel to hotel in disguise. But the state eventually catches up. In May 2013, police track him to a hotel in Ponto-Combo, near Paris, and arrest him in a nighttime raid. Once the system gets embarrassed like that, it doesn't just punish you, it redesigns your life. Faïd is moved to Réau Prison, a maximum security facility for inmates considered high risk. It's a prison designed to be inescapable. But for Faïd, it was just another exciting challenge. But this time, he doesn't just try to break a door, he breaks the sky.
This morning, a manhunt is intensifying for a notorious French gangster. Now, he busted out of prison in broad daylight yesterday. His getaway ride, a helicopter.
Europe, for some reason, had a disproportionate number of helicopter-based escapes. France, in particular, they spent like $55 million in 2001 to install what they call chopper stoppers, which is like that mesh netting that they put over their prisons. And so that was a known issue.
Faïd had time to think about that at Réau Prison. By 2018, he had spent 5 years inside ultra-tight security, watching routines and hunting for the most minor weaknesses. It's thought his outside team may have done reconnaissance as well, with drones reportedly spotted over Réau months earlier. Then on July 1st, 2018, at 11:20 a.m., Faïd's team attacks from above. The crew allegedly sets it up like a timed extraction. They seize a flight instructor at gunpoint while he's waiting for a student, then force him to land at Réau. And this wasn't just any run-of-the-mill helicopter. They carefully did their research to find a vintage chopper small enough to fit through the narrow triangular hole in the prison's meshwork.
There was only one place where the pilot can land, the main courtyard. It is the only place in the prison where there are no nets.
Faïd's crew hits the prison at the exact moment he's in the visiting room with one of his brothers. They set off smoke bombs and cut through the bars with an angle grinder, freeing Rédoine in a frenzy. It's not just chaos, it's choreography. Faïd races to the courtyard as a guard and 2 inmates watch in shock. He gives them an Air Force salute, hops inside, and calms the pilot down, saying, "I'm not a terrorist." Once police arrive on the scene, it's too late. Faïd's already up in the air with his team. The helicopter is later found abandoned and torched. Police say the crew then used a car that was later found burned in a shopping mall parking lot.
Thousands of police officers are continuing a manhunt for the convict who dramatically escaped from a French prison.
A large-scale search launches, with reports indicating that around 3,000 officers have been mobilized. Faïd's free and in hiding for 93 days. And then, the story takes a turn that's unexpectedly absurd. On October 3rd, 2018, police arrest him in Cray, his hometown. Maybe it was confidence, maybe comfort, but going home is the oldest mistake in the fugitive playbook.
This morning, Faïd is back behind bars after a 3-month massive manhunt.
And the way he's identified is almost bizarre. Accounts describe police noticing someone in a burqa who looked unusually tall or moved awkwardly. The jig is up. Faïd's back in custody. But now there's another question. What happens after you humiliate a country twice? In early fall 2023, Faïd's on trial for the 2018 helicopter escape. He tries to charm the jury and seem likable, but prosecutors warn the court not to be taken in, describing him as a manipulator who's turned escaping into a skill. Faïd even admits it during the trial, saying he's addicted to freedom. In October 2023, Faïd is sentenced to an additional 14 years for the 2018 helicopter escape, bringing his total to 77 years. He's already accumulated multiple heavy sentences for robberies and escape-related crimes, meaning he'd be imprisoned until 2060. Since his escapes, Faïd's been moved between ultra-secure prisons under extreme security. He spent nearly 12 years in solitary confinement in total, including more than 5 years continuously, and his visits have been so restrictive that he's had no physical contact with loved ones. He's even gone on hunger strikes to protest those conditions. And just 3 months later, a French administrative judge suspended his isolation status, citing concerns about his psychological health. The brutal irony is that he got what he wanted: fame, headlines, the legend. But his bill was decades behind bars. He reportedly refers to his cell as a tombeau de béton, a tomb of concrete. I wonder how he'll break out of that. We're waiting for the next one, Red One. So what did his escapes change?
Typically what happens in any escape incident, right? The escape occurs, there's usually some after-action review where they take time to go through, identify what the breakdowns were, whether it's staff training, whether it's infrastructure. They'll try to pinpoint the weaknesses and identify vulnerabilities that they can address moving forward.
For the broader public, Faid's saga is a cautionary thriller. It shows how reality can mirror the movies and how charismatic criminals can capture imagination. For someone who spent a lifetime imitating gangster films, it's a bitter ending. No more getaways, no more Hollywood heists, just the slow grind of years in isolation. For more on life in extreme incarceration, check out our episode on the world's most secure prison, ADX Florence, where even a mastermind like Faid would find escape impossible. It's a place designed to hold the worst of the worst, without Hollywood endings. See you in the next episode of How to Survive.